Hey, I'm over here, everybody. Hello, everybody. I finally got the stream working. And as you can see, my compadre is here. She's hiding. I don't know why she's over there. I'm going to go and tell everybody what is going on so that people know we're here instead of there, because it's Facebook. So, oh, everybody came over. You're awfully smart. Look at that. I came back over to this side and I found 54 people. That was fast. Hello, everybody. Hi, Kathy. Thank you very much for being kind enough to help. Hi, Chatty Kathy. Sue. Let's say hi to everyone. Connie, Jeanette, Alice. I'm so sorry that things started late. These are the things that can happen when you are on YouTube. Hello to Love and Peace, Teresa, Debbie, Roxanne, Sandra, Amy. Wandering Eyes is here. Yay. Noelle is kind enough to help with moderator. Sandra, Pamela, Paula, Kathy, of course. We always appreciate her. Roxanne, Noelle again, and T-Bot. All right, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. First off, gratitude and thank you to everyone who watches the channel. I did a download that I posted before this one of everything we had donated through PayPal, but then we had also donated through my personal checking account. So probably at the end of the year, I'll let everybody know just how much money was raised simply by watching commercials. But it was an interesting thing for us to do. And I think it just speaks to the power of thought and intention, that when we, the people, decide that we're going to do something, we do it. And that it can be something very, very powerful. Something as simple as watching 2 minutes worth of commercials. If enough people do it, that turned out to be, hundreds of trees were planted. So it's not just about the fact that there's power in numbers, there's also power in intention. And the more we are clear in our intentions, the more powerful we can become. So I really believe that. And I really believe that the more we as a collective decide that this is the direction we want our country to be moving in, and the more we have that conversation, the more we will see the truth of that. It's important for us to look at the news, and I think it's important for us to look at the dark, ugly underbelly of what's going on in society. But I don't think it is a good idea for us to dwell on it beyond that. It's important for us to see what the problem is, to retain our empathy, but particularly as empaths, I don't think we need to be beating ourselves, over the head, watching the horror day by day, hour by hour. And I'm particularly concerned for those of us who are a little bit older, that we don't become so frightened that we hole up in our homes and are afraid to go outside and be a part of the world. And so I'd like this channel to be a place, a safe haven where we can come and we can talk about creating the world we want to live in, rather than giving power to policies that are not good for the planet and ultimately not good for us. We need to be aware of the policies without bashing people. I don't think we need to call people evil. I think that's counterproductive, but we do need to know what the policies are, and we need to come together as a community and address the problem. So thank you for that. I want to talk a little bit before we get started, and then I'm more than happy to do a tarot blitz for everybody. Okay. You're all telling me what you want, and I'm going to write it down. We're looking at Greenland. We're looking at Bernie Sanders. Just tell me what you want, and I'll be happy to do it. So the first meditation I did last night had to do with the military. Sometimes I like to just go in and feel the energy of a particular collective, because we are inherently empathetic. Human beings are inherently empathetic. And so if somebody is depressed in our home, in our family, in our community, it can bleed off on us like an actual tangible thing. It's like catching a virus. This is why it can be very difficult, for example, to grow up in a home where you have a parent who has a drug or an alcohol problem or a mental health problem, because children are inherently empathetic and they can feel it. They may, at a very early age, blame themselves if they see a parent going through certain difficulties, if your parents went through a divorce or had an alcoholic background or an abuse background. That early childhood development stays with you. And we say for the first 5 years, give or take, that children are egocentric in the sense that they begin to form an I, a sense of self, right? We start to think, hey, I'm me and I'm separate from my parents, and that's pretty cool. But at the age of 5 is also when we can be egocentric and believe that it's all about us, that if our parents are having a bad day, we somehow created it. If our parents got a divorce, they somehow created it. We somehow created it, excuse me. Those early years are when we often feel that if we're seeing our parents upset, we often think that we are the cause of it. I've always felt, this is the second part of the meditation last night, I've always felt that if an individual gets frozen in trauma at a particular time in their life, they then become trapped in that belief system. And this is a time when I think people are very vulnerable to developing personality disorders like malignant narcissism, for example. People have theorized that empaths have that aspect to them, that we are kind of the reverse. And so we often will have intriguing relationships with malignant narcissists, that the empath and the narcissist are kind of different aspects of the same disorder. Empaths come last, narcissists come first, right? Anyway, so going back to the story of the army and the military and how we're all connected because we do have this aspect of empathy. I really feel when I try to go into the military, and it doesn't matter which military I go into, whether it's the Chinese military or the American military, there's that wave of energy, that renaissance, that feeling that we've all been having is making its way into the military, and it's having a really strange impact on the military. The first thing that I saw when I did the meditation was I saw soldiers not wanting to go to work. They don't want to go to work. They can't be motivated to go to work. They don't believe in the mission. They don't believe in what we're doing. And it's leading to apathy, soldiers not doing their jobs effectively, passive aggression where soldiers are trying to get out of their work, high rates of suicide and drug addiction, high dropout rates, etc. In the middle of this whole energy that I felt of the military emotionally withdrawing, there's no incentive. They don't feel financially, they're not paid very well. They don't believe in the mission anymore. There's this overall trouble of morale in the American military, getting the military to feel that there's some meaning to the mission. But I felt this same energy when I was in Hong Kong, when I was meditating on Hong Kong a couple of days, trying to connect with soldiers and military, police, etc. in Hong Kong. So it is an empathy or a feeling that is permeating the world where people don't want to fight anymore. People don't want to fight anymore. And there seems to be this collective feeling that we have to find another way. We have to find another way. Real fear for the future of the planet, real fear that the fighting, the warring could potentially reach a point where we destroy the planet and it's only a matter of time. A fear that we will evolve into extinction and that human beings come with an off switch, right? That if you have people building up nuclear weapons and super weapons, but you have no stopgap, you don't have anybody controlling the people who've got their triggers on the weapons, then theoretically you have a situation where, well, it's only a matter of time before something horrific happens. That whether consciously or not, there's a feeling that everyone is entering into the same page of being frightened of this small percentage of people with all this power, but not necessarily mental stability. So the response to that on a core level is apathy. It's like a passive aggression where people simply are refusing to participate. Now, part of that appears to be intentional in the sense that corruption in the defense. Yes, I can look at that. That's actually what we're going to be talking about today. So I think part of it is intentional in the sense that we know that there are two groups, there are two philosophies that are battling it out in America right now. One is the businessman who simply wants to get his products out. He wants to do business with anybody and everybody, even if the person's a dictator, and they just want to get their trade out. And that means that if there are sanctions in place, if there are armies in place blockading certain routes, etc., then the businessman is not free to do his business. But if you change the laws, if you get rid of the military, if you create so much unhappiness in the soldiers that they are quitting, you build an argument that people will have a hard time refuting, particularly if you're building an army that's costing billions and billions of dollars to the American taxpayer, theoretically going to private contracting, etc. But that's money that's being diverted that could go towards, schools, etc. at home. And I think that goes back to the propaganda. So it would appear from this remote that the military is heavily entrenched in Fox News, the conservatives, etc. And so they are being given, the people in the military, this message that their work is futile, that their work in Afghanistan is futile, that their work in Iraq is futile, that war is futile, and that the soldiers need to come home. So that is the growing philosophy that I feel when I go into the energy. And I think that it has to do with this relationship between business people that would benefit from lifting sanctions with Russia, and how it is having an impact on the self-esteem, the morals, and the values of service people. So then you have people like Mattis and some of the other military people who believe in the mission, and they're having trouble getting their soldiers they're having a real hard time getting the soldiers to follow orders because of this growing morale challenge that's happening because of this propaganda. And when you go into the energy and you're looking at what's happening in Europe, there's a recognition by the European community that things cannot remain as they are. And we're now going to start seeing some interesting solutions about what to do or how. Can everybody see Mila? Mila, they can't see you. Anyway, so that was the energy. That is the conversation. We will probably see that. We will probably see the troops coming home. We'll probably see a continuing conversation about loss of morale and high suicide rates. This is not getting enough attention, but I can tell you just going into the energy that it feels like it's partly due to the anti-war, anti-military buildup of the nationalists, and that they're using Fox News to promote that. And that's just because of business, and because they want to have open trade routes, and because they want to give the money to private contractors. So that would be money diverted from the US military towards private contractors. We've already talked about that. But what was interesting about this remote was the fact that it showed how the conservative media is promoting the very loss of morale within the US military that we're seeing, by basically saying that there's no reason to be in Afghanistan, inviting the Taliban to Camp David. It's really hard to encourage a soldier who's risking their life and limb when the leader of the free world doesn't want to be there and wants to have lunch with the Taliban. All right, can so everybody see that? So that was what last night's meditation was about. How do we bring the troops home but not give Putin what he wants? All right. Flint, Michigan water on the outbreak of Legionnaire again in Flint, Michigan. Oh my goodness. We can look at that. Just saw on Maddox, Rachel. Mila looks exhausted. Mila is exhausted because Mila went outside at 11:30 at night last night and then didn't want to come back in. And she has a tree. She climbs up and she sleeps in her own little nest in the tree. I just let her do what she wants at this point. So she knocked on the door at 6:30 in the morning, wanting to be fed, and then promptly went to sleep. So she'll be up at 8, and she'll want back out at 11:30 tonight. And I won't see her again until the morning. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do a simple prayer. And we'll spend a little time here with each other. All right, let's do a simple prayer. I'm going to call on white light protection for myself and my viewers as we ask permission from Spirit to access their Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Give us the clarity and wisdom needed to empower our viewers to make the best decisions for themselves, for the planet, for the people they love, for their families. And with that I say, Amen. All right, so the first experiment I was asked to do before we start all of the blitzes is to do a reading about the collective. And I was thinking about that last night during my meditation. I thought, I think we should do that. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle, and then we're going to get the collective message that we all need to hear for the coming weeks. Does that sound good? Does everybody want to get a reading? So you're going to get a reading today from Whimsy. This was something that Spirit asked me to do last night during my remotes. So what I'll do is I will just ask for the collective message so everybody can get a taste of what a reading is like. And we'll do a 5-minute blitz just on the collective. Sound good? All right. Spirit, I'd like to do a tarot reading to empower our viewers for the coming weeks. What do people need to know here in order to empower themselves for the coming weeks? All right, let's take a look. Make sure I get this right. The base of the matter. You are moving. 6 of Wands coming in. So the first energy that they're talking about is that the collective is going to be traveling. There's a lot of travel cards that have been coming up in people's card chart lately. So a lot of people are on the move and a lot of people are traveling. The Knight of Wands is not only a travel card that denotes movement. Unlike the other knights, this one is caught in motion, and you can see he's got the staff, entrepreneurship there. So it's a feeling like he has begun running right out of the gate. So if you are starting new projects, if you have a new business, if you have a new love, it's a kind of an exciting new time. It's starting in the fall for you, and it's starting running. You're gonna start the fall running. So this is a productive time we're coming into. And then you can see here 6 of Wands is moving in. I read Wands as month cards. So I'm going to go ahead and say with this juxtaposition that for people who are watching, it looks like there's going to be an upswing in the energy, excitement about projects, excitement about travel. And if you are working on a business project, a writing project, now is the time to use that collective energy, which is growing over the next 6 months, and use it to complete those projects. But wow, what a great time to go on spiritual pilgrimage. If you want to take a travel, go camping, or even go somewhere further. This is not only a travel card, but it's things moving, evolving, changing. And what I love about the juxtaposition of these two cards for you in terms of your future and my future is that it just seems like the energy is rising. We took a big rest. A lot of us were feeling fatigued and tired for the last couple of weeks, and I just listened to Spirit. Trust that Spirit knows what it's doing, and just let it do what it's going to do. Thank you, Coriel, for the donation. Coriel has planted 5 trees, and we want to give gratitude to Coriel for that. Thank you. All right, so 6 months, just expect your energy to be real high and for you to be doing a lot of good things in the world. Where you're at right now, this is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of energy. People are on a new road, a new path. The other great thing is that we had to let go of the slavery mentality, because holding on to guilt and shame that doesn't belong to you will drag you down and make you less productive. And this is something that Spirit or Mother God or Mother Earth or your higher self, however you want to identify it, but it's a clearing out. It's a clearing out of old false beliefs. Remember, I had said when I opened up this reading today that when we are traumatized early in childhood, we often believe that it is our fault, because this is part of the natural development of the brain. As the brain starts to mature, it will move past that narcissistic view of things towards a more holistic idea that it's not all about me. But what can sometimes happen with people who have trouble getting past the kind of trauma of blaming themselves in early childhood is that it can then become ritualized. And when it becomes ritualized, we will see religions and belief systems crop up that attempt to blame the victim and often blame the person who is the least responsible. Whenever you are in doubt about who is the least responsible when a crime takes place, the person least responsible is the person with the least amount of power, i.e., the victim. So whenever we see ourselves blaming ourselves for, whenever we're blaming ourselves for things that really had nothing to do with us, we just have to say, oh, well, that's just my wounded child. Love your wounded child and move on. Page of Wands moves in with a brand new beginning. The past is dead. The slavery mentality is dead. It's time to move on. This is a time of just wipe the dust off, cry your last tear. You've suffered enough. The children have suffered enough. And he begins a new road. Thank you, Wayne Dillard. Wayne has given $20. We can put that towards trees if he likes, or we can put it towards rescue relief in the Bahamas. I'll let Wayne decide. All right, so just leave a note for me, and then I go through and I do take notes about where people want the money going. All right, so new beginnings. What I like about the Page of Wands, also with a new beginning for remember, this is our collective consciousness, where we're headed. We are starting like a new child, the Page of Wands, but it's also a phallic symbol. So you could be feeling more sensuous, more sexual, more aggressive, but this type of energy, the fire sign or the fire, what I love about it is it's passion, but it's not necessarily violent. It's putting our passions towards something positive. It's the pilgrim beginning the new road. I just love this card. But it's also taking your passion and directing it towards something positive. Aggression is a good thing if it goes towards planting trees. Aggression is a good thing if it goes towards something constructive. This new energy coming in for all of us is not violent. We don't have to be violent protesters. That's what's so great about this new energy. We can simply withdraw gently and say, I'm just going to step this one out. I don't feel like I need to go and have plastic surgery because I turned 60. I think I'm fine. I'd rather give my money to, manatees in Florida that are going extinct, or, it's just the best way to describe this energy is we are choosing in a very non-defensive way to not participate, and we're starting our own path. The other thing I like about this path is that it's the rugged individual. So we're not defensive, we're not violent, we're not aggressive. The time of the warrior is changing. We're still going to be warriors. It's just not a violent energy. The Page of Wands is a new beginning. A pilgrim goes on a journey. And we can see here, 9 of Pentacles, the abundance of the garden. This is also the idea of the Hebrew word puravu, which I've talked about before, or this idea of being fruitful. And that is, to be very clear, that one is fruitful when one helps promote the health and well-being of the planet. What I like about Nine of Pentacles is, again, it uses the garden imagery, and there are coins coming off the trees. And it's this idea that working in consort, working with Gaia actually makes us even more wealthy, because she will produce as much fruit as we will help her produce. And this is ultimately her drive. It's okay to be greedy if you are planting millions of trees so that you can sell fruit or create a green economy. She actually would probably love that, because then she can be part of, she created us to be co-creators. What is above us? Walking away from the broken man. So there's a collective awareness that the old ways are gone. The old ways are gone. And now we're coming into a time when we are letting the things go that don't serve us. The man, the slavery mentality, the guy who drags us down, the girl who drags us down, the abusive person, the person that makes us feel it's our fault because we were a pirate in a previous lifetime. You know, whatever guilt or shame we're holding on to that doesn't belong to us. In modern Buddhism, this is something that I learned when I became a modern day Buddhist, was that there's this idea that we don't always get the karma we deserve, but we sometimes will get the karma we think we deserve. So if you grew up thinking that you deserved nothing, you will continue to believe you deserve nothing, and you won't be able to ask for more than nothing. So that's more of a modern interpretation of karma. The Great Awakening is when we realize that we deserve better. But Five of Pentacles is to remove ourselves from belief systems that don't serve us. They are in exile, they're freezing, there's a light on in the church, which symbolizes closeness to God, closeness to the light, the Holy Spirit, cosmic consciousness, you know, the Buddha nature. Thank you, Kim Copeland, for your $2 donation. You have planted 2 trees. Thank you, Kim. So special thanks to Kim and everybody who's donating today. We are making the world better. So yeah, so if a dark, dreary, horrible world is not working for you, and you say, you know what, I'm out of here, I'd rather go be in the garden, that's exactly what these cards are talking about. What we sit in, what we marinate in, a desire to go back to the days of old. 6 of Cups. It could be a time when you are getting back together with an old love, or you've connected with somebody who has that feeling of familiarity. This is an old love, a feeling of familiarity. Again, it's giving gifts, that it has a nature aspect to it. He's giving flowers to the girl, but there's a purity, it's a pure-heartedness. We are trying to go back to a pure-heartedness, a time when things were less complicated, children in the garden, giving gifts, what we came out of. We're coming out of a collective moon phase. There's a feeling like collectively we were all gaslit, we didn't know up from down, we just couldn't think. This is the foggy confusion of moon or lunatic energy, and it actually sits in the past. And where we are headed in our near future, negotiation. This is a very powerful and important card for this time in the collective, because negotiation or temperance means that instead of fighting and yelling and screaming, people are sitting down and having real conversations. Looks like Kim donated another $2. Thank you, my love. Thank you. All right. Where we are at, you can see here again, the same imagery is coming for all of us, and that is the 8 of Cups, walking away from that which is broken, or walking away from an imperfect situation in order to find the 9th Cups, which is the wish card. Can you all see your cards? Can everybody see the cards we're all getting? This is you, me, and everybody else. These are gorgeous cards. Look at what the issue is. Look at the issue, which, you know, for those people who are learning to read, the 4th house, the energy, the collective energy coming in that we have to deal with due to what we are marinating in. What we think about, what we marinate in, what we sit in leads to where we're headed, right? Our thoughts create our actions. Our thoughts are, we want to get back to the days of old, the garden. We've got to get ourselves back to the garden, like the song says. So we have to walk away from the things that hold us back. And then negotiation, walking away again. What is around us? The sacred contract. The Lover's card is a card that has to do with contracts. Oh, thank you. Yes, I will donate it to the trees. Thank you, Laurelite. I will, what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll write it down, and then we will figure out what percentage goes to trees and then what percentage is going to be going to the Bahamas. So just let me know. We'll figure it out. All right, so Lover's card is the sacred contract, and that is what is around us. So this is a card that also could denote lovers or lovers around us. It's a positive energy. What I like about lovers is, in the 8th house, is that it suggests this is a time when we have a new social contract of mutual respect. The hope and the fear. People are worried about the economy. They're worried about poverty. They're worried about restriction of movement, not being able to physically move, not being able to be, feeling like they're between a rock and a hard place. And then the final outcome. This is really one of the cards that is a huge part of this channel. It's the 6 of Pentacles. It's the Benefactors card. It's also the card of compassion and giving and service, and coming up with creative ways to serve those who can't care for themselves. It's also the Philanthropist card, and it's the final outcome. In plainer words, when we come from a place of abundance rather than scarcity, we realize that we actually have quite a bit to offer. Often people will call me and we will go into session, and one of the reasons why they will ask me to remote view them is because they've lost their way and they've forgotten why they're here. And so people become depressed. Sometimes people will even become suicidal, which is unfortunate because everyone has a purpose. Everyone can be part of the change. Everyone can help create heaven on earth. What I like about 6 of Pentacles as our outcome as a collective is it means that we will come to see that we have more than enough. That actually we waste quite a bit. There is more than enough. We needn't feel that there is scarcity, and collectively let us come together to create the change we want to see in the world. But rest assured, as long as we turn towards Gaia, as long as we turn towards the garden to return to the old ways, there will always be enough. She will give in relation to what she receives. In plainer words, we take care of her first. Find a way to volunteer, find a way to clear trees, find a way to grow an organic garden, to donate. Give your life to that, and she promises that there will always be enough. Thank you, Valerie. Valerie has had 2 tree babies, or as I like to say, 2 fur babies. Yes, Douglas fir. Get the joke? Yeah, no. All right, clarification, a new beginning. Establishing boundaries. This is an important card for us as well. The Queen of Wands has boundaries, so we can be compassionate while maintaining our boundaries. So it means being able to say to somebody, no, I'm not going to allow you to do that. I will take the necessary actions to control an inappropriate behavior or action. Taking a stand. Queen of Wands is about taking a stand. This is a lot about the environment regarding partnerships. Look at this. So there's ethics, and the ethics and the desire to maintain ethics and values with other people to create a social contract. And that's going to have an impact on how business is done in the future. Look at this, because it's associated with the labor card. And then the final outcome is mastery. We will attain mastery. In plainer words, we now have the knowledge and skills and the clarity of thought to attain mastery, which is really ultimately the human revolution. This is the card of the person who sits at their workbench and their product is known to be the highest quality. And this whole process seems to take about 6 months. So my interpretation of these cards for all of us is that we're on a journey of mastery, that we all collectively struggled with shame and blame that didn't belong to us. that we have all collectively kind of gotten out of Egypt together. We've freed ourselves from some of those childish thoughts. And now that frees up our minds, and it also gives us a lot of energy, because when you're depressed, you don't have energy. So we've freed ourselves of a lot of depression, and also we've gotten our minds back, so our minds are starting to work better than they have in the past. And the end result is mastery, and we will collectively heal the planet. This planet is not going to go down. We're not going to let that happen. Not with cards like this. There's too many of us. And I think Putin's leaving, personally. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do the blitz now, but I wanted to just do that. And if everybody likes receiving readings like that, the collective, where we do the collective reading, I'm more than happy to do that during the blitzes for people. But that was just us collectively, what we're probably all going to be going through the next 6 months. Was that fun? It was fun, right? Okay, Spirit. I was asked to check on Bernie Sanders. Boy, do I love his energy. He is just peace. He sees it. He sees himself in the White House. He's like even stronger than Elizabeth Warren, so maybe they'll end up going together. Who knows? We've got our minds back. That's totally true, Patty. Do you not feel that this? You can't talk to me like that. No, I'm not responsible for this. Yes, you have been trying to victimize the American people by stealing our money, but. No, your days of gaslighting us are over. No, you need to not do that. It's really wonderful. Thanks, Kim. Kim gave another donation. Yay! Those were good cards, weren't they? Ah, I love it. I love when I see us doing good things with the world. We are going to save the planet. These seeds that you are planting. Think about that. Everybody who's watching this channel has been planting trees for 6 months. I mean, that is like powerful. We don't have to be depressed. We have to celebrate the beautiful world that we're co-creating. There's going to be dorks out there. We'll get control of it. We'll deal with it. All right, Spirit. That's with Bernie Sanders. We find the problem and then we look for the solution. It's that simple. No more blaming, no more victim bashing. We don't have to scream and yell at people in restaurants. It's not necessary. We simply have to carry ourselves with dignity and say, you know what? I'm not going to purchase that because of the plastic. I'm not going to purchase that. It has too much corn syrup. You know what? I hear what you're saying, but that's just not going to work for me. When you come up with a organic product that doesn't have plastic, that is nutritionally beneficial, I would love to look at your products. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and pass that up. That's all we have to do. We just simply have to turn our back from that and turn our attention towards helping Gaia. Bernie. What's with you, Bernie? Let's take a look. Base of the matter for Bernie right now. Look at this. The Constitution, right? And the perfect judge. Boy, his cards are great. You can see the Constitution or a feeling that he's part of a higher cause or a higher ethos. And Queen of Wands is boundaries, appropriate behavior, right? The Queen of Wands, she leads. Deborah and Yehudit are the archetypes. So it is the perfect judge who holds the staff of authority and establishes appropriate boundaries. What I love about the Queen of Wands, and this is actually my significator, is that she's loving and compassionate, but she also can tell you, no, I don't think so. She can establish boundaries with people. And I think that's just a really important part of compassion. So I really love that card. Bernie definitely has boundaries. Right now, there's some major issue that's going to be hitting, or it has hit his campaign. You can see the tower right over it. Some kind of shocking, or I haven't been keeping up with the news. Did something happen? with Bernie recently? There's a tower right over him regarding, he's getting attacked from, he's meeting with Buttigieg. This is Buttigieg's card. So Bernie Sanders has already met privately with Buttigieg, it would appear. He has to meet with him. To be clear, Buttigieg, who I think is in 5th place, when I do remote viewings on Buttigieg, he's trying to get a position in the coming administration, even though he thinks he probably won't win. He and Kamala Harris are really, they would be, Kamala Harris wants AG or VP if she can't get in to the presidency. So the same is true for Buttigieg. But I would suspect he's having some challenge. There's another person he's having an issue. Look at this, it's not good. 8 of Swords moving in. He's having some kind of an issue is going to come up with Bernie regarding problems with somebody's going to make trouble for him, and it's not entirely his fault. It could be somebody got a hold of something. He's going to be outed in some way that's harmful. Yeah, a thief is going to, some stolen documents or some stolen film footage or something. They're working on something. You can see a thief card here, 8 of Swords. Some big thing is going to come out about Bernie. He'll address it head on. You can see a 2 of Cups moving in. Ace of Cups. He's traveling a lot. He's making deals with people. But he's going to get hit with something that's going to potentially be quite damaging to his bid. I think he'll come out of it, though, because 3 of Cups is there, which shows rejoicing. But expect him to get hit pretty hard, and it looks like it's a campaign, and the campaign is involving some kind of information that they got on him that they've been holding on to. I'm sorry, but that's what I see. Okay, so the next people asked me to look at Greenland and if Greenland's going to be okay. Catalot. Hello, Catalot. Thank you for donating $5. Please let me know if you want it for the Bahamas or the trees or some other. Just let me know so that I can write it down, because I'm trying to be as good about that as I can be within reason. I mean, nobody really cares all that much. I mean, I take the money and I get people say, okay, put it to the trees. So I'm like, $400 or $500 will go to the tree. $200. People are like, that's about right. I can't get it down to the quarter. It would just be too much work. All right. Greenland, Spirit, can you tell us about Greenland? How can we save beautiful Greenland? I'm going to go ahead and try and get into remote viewing on the actual country and see what we find. So the first thing I'm picking up is that the scientist in Greenland, and also there's a lot of scientists there. This is the first thing I'm seeing in the remote. Let me go ahead and explain it once I get this out. Okay. Masters, Ace of Wands. Masters are at work. So what I'm seeing is they're doing core samples. They're doing a lot of core drilling. They're checking the ice sheet, the loss of the frozen tundra is what I'm seeing in the remote when I went in, and the fact that the ice is shorter. So when they drill down and they pull up and say they get 2 inches or 2 feet or 10 feet or 100 feet, they're doing that, and now the samples are coming back shorter and shorter and shorter, and they're now hitting dirt. And they're hitting permafrost in certain areas. So that's what I'm seeing. So they're measuring the loss. That's one way that they're measuring the loss, is with these core samples. The concern is when that vegetation starts to rot, it will produce massive amounts of methane. Also, when the seas warm, all the methane will be released, and then theoretically, it could cost us our lives. What I see is that there's a ton of researchers there. You can see the Mastery card with the Ace of Wands. I think they're going to put up a shield. because I see the weather changing, and I see a drop of about 5 to 7 degrees like that, and that tells me there must be a shield or something. The King of Swords is moving in, the military and the business. So what happened as a result of this is now people are thinking, great, another trade route. You have business coming in, and you also have the military looking at the area. They're being offered financial incentive for permission to go in and create trade routes and trade. They're also wanting to drill. It looks like there's natural resources they're looking into, gold, mines, etc. Transformation of business there. Unfortunately, a lot of people trying to get in and do business there. She is negotiating. What's interesting about these card charts is that she's brought the scientific community in to see the effects on the ecosystem, theoretically doing business with certain people. Page of Pentacles is, and the King and the Knight of Pentacles, new business offers and transformation, with the Ten of Pentacles being a legacy. She could start selling off some of her resources. That, I hate to say it, but I have to tell you what the cards say. Right, the legacy card moving in. There's a lot of urgent meetings. You can see the travel card for them as well, regarding how to deal with the problem, trying to trade routes, movements, hopes and fears, the pilgrim, the new beginning, the final outcome, a judgment has to be made. Let me just show it to you. And then the clarification, judges coming in. So, oh, okay, great. So basically what it's showing is that the experts or the people who are knowledgeable about Greenland, this is the base card, and Ace of Wands, will be successful. The main issue for them is that they do want to be economically successful. You can see a lot of economy cards here, business, sales, inheritance, etc. This could be also what one has inherited, one's resources, transformation of inheritance. What I like about their cards is that they want to move forward and take business deals, but they're going to have strong laws that protect what kind of drilling and what kind of access to resources is made available, because I like the fact that this is the base card. The base card indicates that more than likely they will have policies in Greenland that protect the ecosystem so that they are able to make business with as minimal harm to the ecosystem as possible. That's the challenge for Greenland going forward, and it looks like they're going to succeed. But I understand the concerns with cards like that, because you can see all the money coming in, right? You look at those cards, it's like, whoa, I want to get a gold mine in Greenland. Now that now that it's gone, I don't have 100 feet of ice to drill through. Well, let's go take a look at what you got down there. It's that. Let's send some scientists out to research what's available there. So they're looking at what's available in terms of mining, gold, etc. And they're also looking at trade routes and sale of resources, and also vacationing, etc. But through this whole process, it looks like the ecosystem preservation, Gaia comes first. So I'm not gonna stress about it too much. If the cards had been something else, I would have been more worried. But those were good base cards. All right. How can we cool the oceans? They're probably going to put a shield up, and it's probably going to be a temporary shield that burns off after 7 years. They can put them up with metal shavings, and then the sun burns off the shavings. So it could theoretically give us 5, 7, 10 years of repass while we clean up the planet. That's the simplest and fastest way to do it. And that's probably the shield that we'll put out. More complicated shields could come after that. All right. So there's a volcano, where? Yellowstone. Oh, nice. And that could destroy everything. Another thing to become frightened of. You need to move away from fear towards positive things. All right. I can't even read my own notes. All right, so volcano next. Is that what people want? Will we be seeing a volcano eruption in Yellowstone anytime soon or in our lifetimes? We got 10 minutes, why not? This is a good time to read because people seem to be awake all over the world at this time. Let's have a look. Base of the matter. Work. Actually, looks like more investing and more opportunities for this part of the world. Looks like Yellowstone is getting a facelift. More money coming in. This is probably because there was damage in Yellowstone during the government shutdown. Oh, very nice. High Priestess moving in with the World card. No, this is talking preservation. No, this is really good. Preservation. Heartbreak over what? Devastation and heartbreak over... Death and heartbreak. Oh, it has to do with the... it's not... It wasn't due to... it was a justice card for clarification. So, no, it's not a volcano. The problems and challenges with Yellowstone when you go in is the natural ecosystem, and it looks like what I'm seeing is fires when I remote it. Fires, brush fires that are out of control, not controlling for biodiversity, controlled fires that didn't happen, so we could be seeing potentially a problem there. Problems with the ecosystem, the wildlife, because there wasn't proper stewardship. So that's probably why the World card and the High Priestess, the opening of the eyes, the world, the assistance coming in. The heartbreak probably had to do with the environmental damage. If it had been something like an earthquake or shaking of the earth like that, I would have been more likely to have seen the tower. The heartbreak and the death card or transformation of the ecosystem justice because of the Justice Department or legal because of something legally that happened. It probably has to do with the EPA, the Justice Department, and how certain laws have gone lax regarding environmental protection. So, we look for the fantastical, and then it's often the most obvious thing is causing the problem. Human abuse of the ecosystem is the biggest threat to Yellowstone right now, and indifference. Chat wants to read on the aliens. I don't know what I would ask. I don't really do alien stuff. The medical cure is upcoming. Aliens, please. Okay, all right, who knows? I've never done this before, but what do we need to know about the aliens? It's Monday night, why not? Universe. Are there aliens? Are they friendly? Do we need to be concerned? I really honestly don't know what is going to come out of this. I know nothing about this subject. I've never been really interested in that. The base of the matter, rejoicing. Fool takes a leap of faith. So, Ace of Swords, Nine of Wands crossing. I would say if there's such a thing as aliens visiting our planet, that ultimately it would be a good thing. Just because Three of Cups is here, which is rejoicing, Fool takes a leap of faith, and the final outcome is Lovers, which is a social contract or a communion between God and human beings. Wisdom card, fear comes as an issue, an offer, and then the final outcome is wisdom, the Hermit card. So, like I said, I don't know anything about aliens, but just for fun, I threw on it, and it looks like it's predominantly a benign, loving universe, and not something we need to be frightened of. Okay. Don't be frightened of the aliens. It's a benign. They say it's a predominantly benign, compassionate universe, capable of profound empathy. Oh yes, that was it. It was the Defense Department. I couldn't read my handwriting. That's what it was about. So I'm going to just go look at specifically at. Yes, the private defense contractors was a way of private companies getting the money that's earmarked for our military. So what they did was, there were a couple of things that seems to have happened based on the remotes we did. And that was that private companies thought that they could make money by getting the military out, and then the money could go in the pockets of private companies rather than to the US military. So what they did was they did a couple of things. The first thing that Putin did is he created an alliance with the alt-right, and then he began to form a business alliance with investors in Fox. And what they did was they began to beat away at the senselessness of the wars, right? Because he wanted to get his trade out. We all know about that. We talked about it ad nauseum. But it had a profound negative impact on morale in the military, because it was their own conservative party that was taking this anti-military stance, this anti-war stance. We can all go home now and just let the private contractors take over. But the purpose of doing all of that was because the business people wanted to make money with private contractors, and because certain foreign governments wanted to be able to trade openly without sanctions and without blockades. So that is why we find ourselves where we're at. That seems to be what the cards are suggesting. I'm concerned about what I saw with the CIA also, just because it seemed like they were more concerned with helping American businesses than what was ultimately good for the planet. All right. So the future of the American intelligence agencies. I think this will be our last one because it's almost an hour. It's very possible, Sparkle. You know, it's interesting. You see these old military people leaving because they see this. They want to keep the military going. They want to keep the wars going. They don't trust Putin. No one's listening to them anymore. Everybody's just looking at the morale, looking at the potential money from contracting. And that's why they're losing. This used to be called treason. Now it's called business. This is how bad it's gotten. It's kind of like the last shoe to drop in Citizens United, and the fact that business has all this power now. They can even take our military. They can take our military. They can take our VA, so that it can go into the pockets of private companies. It's not about making it better. It's about the fact that private companies want the money for themselves. All right. This is a card reading that I'm doing just on the overall American intelligence agencies. You can see a Magician card coming in with a Justice card coming in. And so this is something I've been seeing a lot. is this feeling that it feels like rope-a-dope. We've talked about this in the past, where Putin feels like he was winning. He felt like he was starting to make headway. He was getting a lot of support from people who wanted to withdraw the military. While it's true that we will start winding down from some of these wars, it's not going to be Putin's vision. You can see a magician coming in with a justice card. So that leads me to suspect that our intelligence agencies are still, they're weeding out anybody who may have been involved in this corruption. There's a Four of Cups, rejecting an offer, and Four of Swords. So that Four of Pentacles, excuse me. I don't think that the attempts Putin made to get the military on his side are going to work. I think that a lot of the investigation and a lot of the complaints have actually been from the military and the intelligence agencies, with the Four of Cups as the main card, rejecting offer, and Four of Swords, serious examination, with a magician card and a justice card, legal defense and power coming in. The hope and the fear that the intelligence agencies have been compromised. Remember when we all started this project last year, and I kept going down into the remotes, and I would go into these deep trances, and I would say, the investigation is not Donald Trump, the investigation is the intelligence agencies. We had no idea what I was talking about until a year later. This is what we were talking about. It's the selling of the military, the selling of classified information, and the opening up of open trade with other countries because of this idea that we can make a buck. Ten of Swords, a feeling of exhaustion. What they sit in, the negotiator. Coming out of a time of abundance and going towards a time of business. Not good. The businessman is at war with the values and principles of the intelligence agencies. The intelligence agencies are trying to protect American business. At the same time, American business is now engaging in certain things which potentially weaken the United States. The master is at his table, seventh house. We get our wish. Hopes and fears, hanging it out, the final outcome, holding pattern. I think it's going to look darkest before the dawn, which is what this card is about. The darkest before the dawn. You can see the dawn in the distance, the sun is rising, but that's right over us. So it does look right now pretty bad, but I don't think it's going to stay that way. Not with the base of cards of Magician and Justice coming in. Justice will prevail. But look at that, Four of Swords. We're in a holding pattern. It's as if we're waiting for something. We will be victorious. Honestly, I think some more bad news is headed our way. I woke up this morning and I heard, is it Turnberry? Is that the name of the airport? Or the golf place, Turnberry? I kept hearing that in my head as I woke up. I think this is the whole thing where Trump was using the military and flying into that airport and trying to get people to stay at his golf course, etc. That's going to grow into a really major issue in the coming days. Just because it was in my head when I went into my remote last night, that I fell asleep during the remote, and then I woke up this morning, I kept hearing about it. So expect more about that coming out. All right, did everybody have fun? All right, I have a couple of quick announcements if you've stayed up to this point. If you're trying to get a reading with me and you are living in a foreign country, you can go ahead and just make the appointment regular and just leave a note. If you want to pay via PayPal, people say, well, I want to pay via PayPal, but they want my credit card. What I always tell people is to just put fake numbers in, or just put it in and I won't run the card. I don't run the card until I have permission to run the card. So you could put the card in and then I could delete the card, and then you can pay through PayPal. So if you are outside the United States and you would like to get a reading, just when you make your appointment, say, I am outside the United States. Send me an invite to WhatsApp. I can do the reading on WhatsApp, or I can send you a link to my private offices there's an app or a link, and you just click on it and do it that way. All right. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'm back at work tomorrow. The heat wave is over for the time being, thank goodness. And so I do have openings this week. Hope to see everybody. And thanks for hanging out with me and helping to save Gaia. It was fun. Peace out, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Noel, and all of our moderators. You've been Kathy, thank you. I think it was Kathy, Noel, and anybody else? Did I miss anybody? All right. Well, thanks, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks, Debbie, Catalot, Roach, Lucy, Purple Rain, Purple Rain, Purple Rain. Coriel, thank you. Opal, thank you. Roxanne, Noel, of course. Jeremy, awesome. Thanks, Jeremy, for coming in. And Zenlin, Laura, Connie, thank you for the whole. See, together we changed the world. Remember when we did that remote view and tarot reading 6 months ago? They were talking about projects like this. You know, it's awesome. All right, bye everyone. See you tomorrow.